Hello, graceful Libra. As July 5th and 6th begin to unfold, you may notice that life isn't asking you to search harder for answers. Instead, it's quietly inviting you to recognize how much has already changed within you. The path ahead may not announce itself with dramatic signs, but there is a growing sense that the effort you've invested in yourself is beginning to create space for something new to take shape. Take a moment to consider this. What are the seasons of waiting, the difficult choices no one else saw, and the moments when you questioned your own direction were never wasted? What if they were preparing you to recognize opportunities that you simply weren't ready to see before? Sometimes growth becomes visible only after your perspective has shifted, and that subtle change can transform the way you experience everything that follows. These first days of July carry the feeling of a quiet sunrise rather than a sudden breakthrough. Like a river finding its natural course after gentle rain, life may begin moving with less resistance and more clarity. This isn't about forcing outcomes or proving your worth. It's about recognizing that you're entering a season where your inner balance allows you to respond to life differently, and that alone can change the opportunities that come into view. You may already be sensing this transition in unexpected ways. Perhaps you've been drawn to simplify your surroundings, reorganize your priorities, or spend more time listening to your own thoughts instead of outside opinions. These small impulses don't have to be viewed as signs of certainty, but they may reflect an inner readiness that's becoming easier to trust. Often, real change begins quietly, long before it becomes visible to everyone else. For Libra, balance has never simply been a preference. It has always been part of your deepest nature. When life has felt uneven for too long, it's natural to wonder whether harmony will ever return. Yet balance rarely arrives all at once. More often it returns through small moments of clarity, healthier boundaries, meaningful conversations, and the growing confidence to choose what truly reflects who you become. There's comfort in remembering the words of Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Whether you receive those words as faith, reflection, or quiet encouragement, they offer a reminder that lasting fulfillment often grows alongside trust and steady intention. Sometimes what you're seeking begins to move toward you only after you've stopped measuring your worth by how hard you've had to struggle. If this message speaks to something you've already been feeling, let yourself acknowledge it. You might leave a comment saying, "I choose harmony over hurry," or simply, "I'm ready for what I'm growing into." Speaking those words isn't about predicting the future. It's about recognizing the person you're becoming and choosing to meet this new chapter with openness, confidence, and quiet intention. And if these reflections have brought you comfort or helped you see your path a little more clearly, and you'd like to support the work behind this channel, you'll find a support link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Our goal for July is to reach $100 to help cover the ongoing costs of creating and maintaining this space. Every contribution, no matter the amount, helps us continue sharing thoughtful astrology content with care, consistency, and heart. If you've already supported the channel, thank you. Your kindness truly helps keep this journey going. Many people spend so long waiting for recognition that they forget their unseen efforts have value. But preparation often happens away from the spotlight, where patience builds resilience and experience reshapes perspective. As these early July days continue, you may discover that you are no longer standing at the edge of possibility. You are beginning to notice the first gentle signs that the life you've been quietly building is finally beginning to respond. For Libra, the search for balance has never simply been about keeping life organized. It is part of the way you understand yourself and the world around you. When life has leaned too heavily in one direction for too long, you begin to feel it, not only in your thoughts, but in your body, your relationships, and your sense of direction. That is why these early days of July may feel quietly significant. They suggest that the weight you've been carrying is beginning to redistribute itself, not because you forced it to, but because you gradually become someone who no longer needs to fight against every current. What returns to your life now may not look exactly as it once did, and that's an important part of the story. Opportunities often come back wearing new faces because you've changed as well. Your priorities are clearer, your boundaries are healthier, and your understanding of success has become more personal. Like a bridge finally connecting two sides of a river, the distance between where you've been and where you're headed no longer feels impossible to cross. You may notice yourself slowing down without feeling guilty about it. Perhaps you've been opening the windows more often, clearing your home, simplifying your schedule, or finding unexpected comfort in quieter moments. These small choices aren't signs that you've lost momentum. They may simply reflect an inner awareness making room for the next stage of your journey, allowing you to move with greater intention instead of constant urgency. Many people mistake ease for a lack of progress because they've learned to associate growth with struggle. Yet there are seasons when clarity accomplishes more than endless effort ever could. If something begins to unfold naturally, allow yourself to consider that it doesn't need to be complicated to be meaningful. Sometimes the most reliable path is the one that no longer asks you to prove your value at every step. Whether your hopes have taken the form of prayers, quiet reflection, or private dreams you've rarely spoken aloud, remember that your journey has never been measured only by visible results. There are moments when life seems to respond after long periods of unseen preparation, and while no one can predict exactly how that will unfold, many people recognize these seasons only after they begin living through them. If your mind feels quieter and your heart less burdened than it once did, trust that change doesn't always arrive with dramatic announcements. Sometimes it begins as a gentle confidence that you no longer need to rush. As July 5th and 6th continue, you may find that possibilities which once felt distant begin moving within reach. That could appear as a conversation that opens an unexpected door, an invitation that feels naturally aligned, or a clearer understanding of where your energy truly belongs. Rather than imagining one life-changing moment, think of this as several meaningful shifts unfolding together. Greater inner stability, expanding opportunities, and stronger connections with people who appreciate the person you've become. Your work and sense of purpose may also begin to evolve in quieter but more satisfying ways. Instead of chasing recognition, you could notice yourself drawn toward projects, collaborations, or responsibilities that feel more authentic than impressive. One of the clearest signs you're moving in the right direction isn't excitement alone, but the feeling that your shoulders relax instead of tighten. Your inner response may recognize the right opportunity long before your analytical mind explains why. This season also invites a different relationship with rest. If you're feeling called to simplify your surroundings, spend more time outdoors, light a soft blue candle, or create space for reflection. Don't dismiss those instincts. Healing often begins by restoring your own rhythm rather than matching everyone else's pace. The quiet moments you create now may become the foundation for decisions that feel wiser and more sustainable in the months ahead. Practical improvements may arrive as well, though perhaps not in the dramatic ways people often expect. A steady financial adjustment, a delayed opportunity finally moving forward, or a resource appearing at just the right moment can feel meaningful precisely because it reflects the consistency you've practiced over time. More than any single outcome, what truly changes is your relationship with receiving. You begin to trust that growth doesn't always demand exhaustion. We live in a culture that often celebrates constant productivity, yet there is another kind of strength that deserves equal respect. There are seasons when your greatest advantage is not how hard you push, but how fully you allow yourself to recognize what already aligns with your values. Perhaps real abundance is found not only in achievement, but in discovering that peace, meaningful work, and supportive relationships no longer require you to become someone other than yourself. If something unexpected begins to unfold during July 5th or 6th, a thoughtful email, an invitation that sparks your curiosity, or a conversation that gently shifts your perspective, allow yourself a moment to simply notice it before questioning it. It's easy to dismiss small beginnings because they rarely arrive with certainty, yet some of life's most meaningful turning points first appear as quiet possibilities rather than dramatic announcements. Sometimes the earliest sign that life is changing isn't an extraordinary event at all. It's the quiet realization that you no longer feel the need to force every door open, because the ones meant for you begin opening in their own time, inviting you forward with far less resistance than before. There are moments when progress is so subtle that it can easily be mistaken for coincidence. Yet after months of growing, reflecting, and making choices that honor your values, you may find yourself responding to life differently than you once did. Situations that once triggered anxiety may now inspire curiosity instead. Rather than chasing every possibility, you're becoming more selective, more grounded, and more willing to trust what genuinely feels aligned. That quiet confidence creates room for opportunities that once seemed just beyond reach. Not because the world has suddenly changed overnight, but because your relationship with yourself has become steadier. For Libra, connection has always carried special meaning, but these early July days invite you to experience it from a healthier place. Instead of searching for someone to fill an empty space, you may notice yourself naturally drawn toward people who appreciate the person you've become, rather than the version of yourself you once felt pressured to present. Whether it's a new friendship, a mentor, a creative partner, or someone whose perspective naturally complements your own, the most meaningful relationships now are likely to grow from mutual respect, shared values, and emotional honesty instead of unmet needs or unspoken expectations. Those kinds of connections tend to develop gradually, creating trust through consistency rather than intensity. It's also possible that someone from your past reappears, not because the past is repeating itself, but because your perspective has changed. Time has a remarkable way of reshaping both people and memories, allowing us to recognize lessons that once remained hidden beneath emotion. Your own growth may give you the ability to see familiar situations with greater clarity and compassion. If that happens, there's no need to rush toward conclusions or recreate old stories. Simply observe how the connection feels today, rather than comparing it to what once was. Sometimes the greatest evidence of healing is discovering that your response has changed, even if the circumstances seem familiar. Astrology often associates Libra with Venus, the symbolism of harmony, beauty, and meaningful partnership. During periods like this, those themes may become more noticeable, not as guarantees of what must happen, but as gentle invitations to pay closer attention to the quality of your interactions. You may find yourself recognizing people who encourage your authentic voice instead of asking you to become someone smaller or quieter. Conversations may feel lighter, disagreements easier to navigate, and moments of genuine understanding more frequent. Those connections often arrive naturally, without the need for elaborate explanations, because they reflect the balance you've been quietly cultivating within yourself. If a familiar name comes to mind, an unexpected conversation lingers in your thoughts, or someone new leaves you with an unusual sense of ease, allow yourself to stay curious. Not every meaningful encounter needs an immediate definition or a carefully labeled outcome. Some relationships reveal their importance gradually through shared experiences, consistent actions, and the quiet realization that you feel more like yourself in their presence. The strongest bonds often grow without urgency, giving trust enough time to take root before asking for certainty. The deeper message isn't really about another person at all. It's about the version of you who is finally comfortable being seen without hiding behind perfection or endless people-pleasing. Emotional maturity isn't measured by how much attention you receive, but by your ability to remain connected to yourself while welcoming others into your life. It means listening to your own needs without feeling guilty, expressing your truth without fearing rejection, and recognizing that healthy relationships don't require you to diminish your light. That balance is one of Libra's greatest strengths when it grows from self-awareness instead of self-sacrifice. And it becomes even more meaningful because it has been earned through experience. As July continues, one symbol that may resonate with this journey is the number 6. In numerology, 6 is often associated with harmony, thoughtful responsibility, meaningful relationships, and the steady work of creating balance. It reminds us that the strongest foundations are rarely built in a single moment, but through small, intentional choices repeated over time. Rather than representing instant success, this number can serve as a gentle reminder that lasting growth reflects consistency, compassion, and a willingness to nurture what truly matters. If you begin noticing this number in the days ahead, There's no need to search for hidden meanings or extraordinary explanations. Instead, let it encourage you to return to what already feels peaceful, authentic, and true, trusting that the life you're building is becoming stronger with every thoughtful step you take. As July 5th and 6th invite you into a new rhythm, think of these days less as a dramatic turning point and more as a quiet opportunity to realign with the life you've been gradually building. The changes unfolding now may be subtle enough that someone looking from the outside wouldn't notice them. Yet you'll likely recognize them in the way your decisions begin to feel lighter and more intentional. You may find yourself responding with patience where you once reacted with urgency, or choosing clarity over the need to have every answer immediately. This isn't a season for proving yourself through constant effort or measuring your worth by how much you accomplish. It's a chance to make thoughtful choices that reflect the person you've become and the direction you genuinely want to follow. Sometimes the greatest sign of progress isn't that life suddenly becomes easier. It's that you begin approaching it with greater clarity, patience, and confidence than before, trusting that steady progress often outlasts dramatic breakthroughs. One symbol that fits this moment beautifully is the number 6. In numerology, 6 is often associated with harmony, responsibility, meaningful relationships, and creating stability that can endure over time. It also carries the quiet reminder that balance is not something you discover once and keep forever. It's something you nurture through everyday choices, honest conversations, and the willingness to care for both yourself and the people who matter most. Like tending a garden, balance asks for gentle attention rather than perfection, rewarding consistency more than intensity. Rather than promising sudden abundance, this number encourages you to trust that lasting growth comes from caring for what truly deserves your attention and allowing your daily actions to reflect your deeper values. If you sense that you're ready for a different pace of life, one that feels more sustainable and more aligned with who you are becoming, this symbol gently reinforces that intention without asking you to rush the process. Simple rituals can also be meaningful during periods of personal transition, not because they possess magical power, but because they help focus your attention on what truly matters. They create small moments of pause in a world that constantly encourages movement, giving your thoughts room to settle before your next step. One practice you might consider is writing down 3 things you're ready to welcome into the second half of the year, followed by 3 habits, fears, or beliefs that no longer support the life you're creating. As you write, you may notice that what seemed like separate concerns are actually connected by a common theme, revealing where your energy has been quietly invested all along. Seeing those thoughts on paper often reveals patterns that are difficult to recognize while they're still circulating quietly in your mind. What first appears as a simple exercise can become a gentle conversation with yourself, offering surprising clarity about where your energy naturally wants to flow and what deserves more of your attention moving forward. You don't have to erase your past to move forward. Every experience, even the difficult ones, has helped shape the wisdom you carry today. The disappointments taught discernment. The delays strengthened your patience. The unexpected turns revealed strengths you may never have discovered otherwise. Even the moments that felt uncertain often refined your understanding of what truly matters, helping you recognize the difference between temporary distractions and lasting fulfillment. Instead of viewing old chapters as mistakes, you can acknowledge them as part of the foundation that has strengthened your judgment, refined your priorities, and clarified what genuinely deserves your energy. Looking back with compassion rather than criticism allows those experiences to become sources of guidance instead of burdens you continue to carry, making space for gratitude to exist alongside the lessons you learned. If you'd like to add a symbolic element to this moment of reflection, consider surrounding yourself with a touch of soft blue or pearl white. These colors are often associated with clarity, balance, open communication, and inner calm qualities that beautifully complement Libra's natural desire for harmony. They can also serve as gentle visual reminders to slow your breathing, soften your thoughts, and approach each decision with a little more presence. Sometimes a simple visual cue is enough to interrupt the noise of a busy day and bring your attention back to what matters most. Whether it's a candle, a notebook, a favorite piece of clothing, a fresh bouquet on your table, or simply the open summer sky outside your window, the symbol itself matters far less than the intention you bring to it. What gives any symbol meaning is the awareness it awakens within you and the quiet moments of reflection it inspires. One of the simplest practices can also be one of the most meaningful. Place your hand over your heart, take a slow breath, and quietly speak an intention that reflects the direction you wish to move. You might say, "I choose balance, meaningful opportunities, and the courage to welcome what truly aligns with my values." Pause for a moment after speaking those words and notice how they feel rather than rushing to judge them. Let them settle naturally, allowing your body to respond before your mind begins analyzing every possibility. The purpose isn't to convince the universe of anything or to force a particular outcome. It's to remind yourself of the commitments you want your future decisions to reflect, allowing your actions to become increasingly consistent with the life you're hoping to create. The more often your choices reflect those intentions, the more naturally they become part of the way you move through the world. Real transformation often begins this way, not through dramatic breakthroughs, but through small moments of honesty repeated over time. Each thoughtful decision, each healthy boundary, and each moment you choose peace over unnecessary pressure gradually reshapes the direction of your life. Those quiet moments accumulate in ways that are rarely obvious at first, yet they become the foundation for lasting confidence and meaningful change. As you slow the noise around you, it becomes easier to hear your own judgment, recognize what genuinely feels right, and respond with greater confidence. You begin to notice opportunities that once blended into the background simply because your attention is no longer consumed by doubt. Whether you view this process through the lens of astrology, psychology, personal reflection, or faith, the invitation is remarkably similar. Create enough quiet within yourself that your next step becomes easier to recognize, then trust yourself enough to take it. Sometimes that single step taken with intention becomes the beginning of a path that only makes sense once you've already started walking it, revealing over time that the quiet changes you almost overlooked were guiding you toward exactly the kind of life you've been hoping to create. When you move through life with greater clarity, even your smallest choices begin to carry more intention. Decisions that once felt rushed or uncertain begin to unfold with a quiet sense of confidence, and you start noticing how the little moments often shape the bigger picture. As July 5th and 6th unfold, the symbolism of the number 6 offers a gentle reminder of harmony, thoughtful responsibility, and the steady work of creating a life that reflects your values. Rather than asking you to chase the next opportunity, this moment encourages you to recognize the quiet strength you've already been cultivating and to trust yourself enough to build upon it. Like a garden that has been patiently tended through changing seasons, your efforts may finally begin revealing their first unmistakable signs of growth. Every personal journey reaches a point where the question changes. Instead of wondering when everything will finally fall into place, you begin asking whether you're ready to recognize the opportunities that are already appearing. That subtle shift in perspective changes more than you might expect because it moves your attention away from what feels absent and toward what is quietly becoming possible. If you pause for a moment, you may notice that the answer isn't arriving as a loud realization. It may come as a calm certainty, a lighter feeling in your chest, or a growing confidence that no longer depends on outside approval. Sometimes the clearest answers arrive not through dramatic revelations, but through a peaceful sense that you no longer need to fight every step of the journey. For a long time, it's easy to believe that success must be earned through constant effort or that your worth depends on someone else's recognition. Many of us learn to measure ourselves by productivity, achievement, or how well we meet expectations that were never truly our own. Yet those beliefs often come from patterns you gradually outgrown. As your perspective matures, you begin to release the pressure to explain yourself to everyone around you or seek permission before honoring your own path. True confidence isn't built on being universally understood. It grows from knowing that your choices reflect who you genuinely are, even when they don't make perfect sense to everyone else. That kind of confidence is quieter than certainty, but far more enduring. Astrology often reminds us that growth is shaped not only by changing skies but also by changing awareness. The movements above become meaningful because they encourage reflection within, inviting you to notice what has been quietly evolving beneath the surface. There comes a stage when the most important transition happens within, as your voice becomes steadier and your decisions more intentional. You stop measuring your progress by comparison and begin trusting your own rhythm instead. What once felt like delays may now appear as preparation, giving you the wisdom to recognize opportunities that an earlier version of yourself might have overlooked. That quiet shift may seem small from the outside, yet it often changes everything that follows. Preparation rarely looks dramatic. It often appears in the everyday decisions to simplify your life. Establish healthier boundaries, welcome what feels aligned, and let go of what continually drains your energy. It may look like saying no without guilt, creating more space in your schedule, or choosing peace instead of reacting to every demand placed upon you. These choices are not signs of withdrawal. They are signs that you're learning to respect your own needs without apology. The confidence that grows from this kind of self-trust tends to last because it is built through consistent practice rather than temporary inspiration. Over time, those seemingly ordinary choices create extraordinary stability. One lesson becomes especially clear during seasons like this. Meaningful growth isn't always reflected first in your circumstances. Sometimes the greatest change is realizing that you no longer abandon your own values in order to gain acceptance. Your inner world begins shifting long before the outer world fully catches up. If you spent years waiting for the next opportunity, the next invitation, or the next reason to believe in yourself, these early July days may gently remind you that much of what you've been searching for has already begun developing within you. The confidence you've been hoping to discover may actually be the result of every quiet decision you've already made. The kindness you've shown, the difficult conversations you've chosen to have, the boundaries you've learned to protect, and the patience you've practiced during uncertain seasons have all become part of the foundation you're standing on today. Even the moments that once felt disappointing have contributed something valuable, teaching discernment, resilience, or compassion in ways that success alone rarely can. Growth isn't measured only by what arrives next. It's also reflected in the person you become while waiting. That realization can be far more powerful than any single achievement, because it reminds you that your greatest transformation has never depended on external circumstances alone. Take a quiet moment to reflect on this. What possibility have you been hesitating to explore because you believed you needed to be more prepared? Which open door have you overlooked simply because it didn't arrive in the way you expected? Is there an opportunity that has been patiently waiting for you to trust yourself enough to take the first step? Sometimes the next chapter begins not when every question has been answered, but when you're willing to take one thoughtful step forward despite the uncertainty. Courage doesn't always feel bold. Sometimes it feels remarkably calm. If this message resonates with you, let it become more than an interesting idea. You might leave a comment saying, "I choose harmony over hurry," or "I'm ready to welcome what truly aligns with me." Speaking those words isn't about predicting what will happen next or guaranteeing a particular outcome. It's a simple way of reminding yourself of the values you want to carry into this season and the mindset you hope will guide your decisions. Every meaningful journey begins with an intention that is quietly honored through consistent action. Thank you for spending this time here and allowing yourself a few moments of reflection. Whether this message simply offered reassurance or encouraged you to see your path from a different perspective, I hope you carry that sense of quiet confidence with you long after this moment has passed. If these reflections have encouraged or inspired you and you'd like to help keep this channel growing, you'll find a support link in the description or a QR code on your screen. Our goal for July is to reach $100 to help maintain and continue creating thoughtful astrology content for this community, and every contribution, no matter the size, is sincerely appreciated. The road ahead doesn't ask for perfection. It asks only that you continue showing up with honesty, balance, and the willingness to keep walking toward the life you've been thoughtfully creating, one intentional step at a time.